In 2012, a man named Ron Johnson lost $4 billion by doing one thing. He told shoppers the truth. Johnson wasn't some amateur. He built the Apple Store into the most profitable retail space on the planet. Then he took over JCPenney, made one honest decision, and nearly killed a company that had survived for over 100 years. The strange part isn't that his plan failed. It's why customers punished him for it. Here's what he did. JCPenney was running around 590 sales events every single year. Coupons, doorbusters, clearance racks. Johnson looked at the numbers and noticed something absurd. Almost nothing ever sold at full price. So he ended the game. No more coupons, no more fake markdowns. Just fair, everyday prices. A jacket tagged at $80 but always sold for $40 would now simply cost $40. Same jacket, same real price. Nothing changed except the sign. And customers vanished. Revenue collapsed 25% in a single year. The stock lost half its value. Johnson was fired after 17 months, all because he removed a number that was never real in the first place. To understand why, you have to understand what a sale sign actually does to your brain, because it was never about the price. In 1974, two psychologists named Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky ran an experiment that looks like a party trick. They spun a wheel of fortune in front of people. The wheel was rigged to land on either 10 or 65. Then they asked a question that had nothing to do with the wheel. What percentage of African countries are in the United Nations? People who saw the wheel land on 10 guessed around 25%. People who saw 65 guessed around 45. A random number from a rigged wheel that everyone knew was meaningless changed their answer by 20 points. They called it anchoring. The first number your brain sees becomes the measuring stick for every number after it. You don't evaluate, you compare. And you can't turn it off, not even when you know it's happening. Now look at a sale sign again. Was $120, now $60. That crossed out number is not information. It's an anchor. Your brain isn't asking whether the item is worth $60. It's measuring the distance between 120 and 60 and calling that distance profit. You're not seeing a price. You're seeing a gain. But the anchor is only the first trick. There are 3 tricks working on that sign, and you fall for at least 2 of them every time you shop. That's not an insult. It's arithmetic. The second trick has a name too. In the 1980s, economist Richard Thaler noticed something strange about how people feel when they buy. He argued that every purchase gives you 2 separate kinds of pleasure. The first is acquisition utility. That's the value of the thing itself, the jacket keeping you warm. The second, he called transaction utility. That's the pleasure of the deal, the feeling of getting one over on the store. Thaler proved these were separate with a famous thought experiment about beer. You're lying on a hot beach. A friend offers to fetch you a cold beer, either from a fancy resort hotel or a run-down grocery shack. Same beer, same beach, same sip. Yet people said they'd happily pay nearly double if it came from the hotel. The product didn't change. The story around the price did. That's what a sale sign is selling, not the jacket. The story, the little rush of beating the system. Which brings us to a man named Marcus and a Tuesday he didn't plan. Marcus walks past a shop window on his lunch break. He's not shopping. He needs nothing. Then he sees it. A jacket. Was $150, now $60. His brain does the math instantly, and the math says 90. Not this costs $60, $90 saved. He tries it on. It fits fine. Not perfect. Fine. He pays and walks out feeling richer than when he walked in, holding a bag he didn't plan to carry, $60 poorer. The jacket still has its tag on 3 weeks later. You've done Marcus's exact math in a store this month, and it felt like winning. But here's where the story turns. Because the third trick is the one that should genuinely bother you. That original price, the one crossed out, the one doing all the work, it was often never real. Retailers have long set what the industry calls a reference price, a regular price the item rarely, if ever, actually sells at. It exists to be crossed out. In 2015, JCPenney itself agreed to pay $50 million to settle a class action lawsuit in California claiming exactly this, that items were listed at inflated original prices they had barely ever sold for, purely so the discount would look bigger. The sale price isn't a markdown from the real price. The sale price is the real price. The discount is theater. Similar lawsuits have hit some of the biggest retail names in America. And the final proof is what happened after Ron Johnson was fired. JCPenney's next leadership brought the old system back. They raised the base prices so they could mark them down again. The tags went back to lying, and customers came back. Sales recovered. People literally returned to pay the same amounts as before, as long as the sign told them they were winning. Now hold that thought, because there's one more thing Johnson missed, and it's the key to everything. You'll see it at the end. First, look at your own screen, because the sale sign didn't die. It evolved. That strike-through price on every shopping site is a digital anchor. The countdown timer, sale ends in 3 hours, borrows a bias Kahneman also documented. Losses hurt roughly twice as much as gains feel good, so a vanishing deal feels like losing money you never had. Only 3 left in stock is the same lever. Even Black Friday runs on it. Researchers tracking prices have repeatedly found items quietly rising in the weeks before the big day, just so the markdown looks steep. So what can you actually do? One principle many behavioral economists suggest is brutally simple. Cover the crossed-out number. Ask one question. If the tag showed only this price, with no story attached, would I still want it? If yes, buy it. If no, you were never buying the item. You were buying the discount. And a discount is not a thing you can wear, drive, or live in. Which brings us back to Ron Johnson and the thing he missed. He assumed people shop to save money, so honest prices should win. But people don't shop to save money. They shop to feel like they've won something. Johnson didn't take away a lie. He took away a game, a small daily victory that customers were quietly playing against the store, and winning every single time by design. In 2012, Ron Johnson lost $4 billion by telling shoppers the truth. But the truth was never the problem. The sale sign was never really lying to you about the jacket. It was telling the truth about you, that what you're buying in the end is the feeling of being clever. Customers didn't punish Johnson for years of fake prices. They punished him for turning off the scoreboard.